My name is Sonia Covey, and I did a 6-week genre study of fantasy. It was created for third grade in Bullard Elementary in Bullard, Texas, and it was prepared on November 15th, 2014 for Read 5304, Section 060. Here we have the summary of a year at a glance, and I created goals for each of the 6 weeks for the year. The first 6 weeks goal is to identify ourselves as readers and writers. The second 6 weeks goal was to prepare one complete writing piece and to be familiar with at least 4 different genres and to be comfortable with reading and writing workshop procedures. The third 6 weeks goal was to focus on the genre of fantasy and learn what it is, its identifying qualities, different books within that genre, etc. Also, to be comfortable participating in a book talk and preparing questions for the book talk. For the fourth 6 weeks, the goal was to learn more about different cultures through reading and writing workshop and to focus more on learning how to research information online using a reliable search engine, keywords, finding reliable sources, etc. Also, they need to be familiar with at least 10 different genres. The goal for the fifth 6 weeks was to do a unit on the chapter book Charlotte's Web and write a narrative piece after reading the book. We will also review genres. And the sixth 6 weeks goal was to celebrate what we have learned and appreciate each other's diversity in reading and writing workshop. We will also review the genres. Here we have the key points of my rationale. The main focuses of my rationale were why I chose the study of the fantasy genre for my unit study, the importance behind students having genre knowledge and the purposes of this knowledge, and the carefully constructed balance of reading and writing in this unit of study. I want to read a couple of excerpts from my rationale. One of them is, this unit of study will incorporate an even balance of 50% reading workshop and 50% writing workshop. The completion of this unit will mean that students have expanded not only their knowledge of the fantasy genre, but also will have honed their skills in reading and comprehending and in writing as well. This will be done through the study of the fantasy genre. Irene Fountas and Gay Sue Pinnell in their book Guiding Readers and Writers Teaching Comprehension, Genre, and Content Literacy talk about how important it is that students know different genres and the characteristics that define them. More particularly, Fountas and Pinnell say the following about genre study. We want our students to understand that we can connect text by examining their characteristics. Knowing about genres gives students language with which to talk about text, helps them learn how information is organized and presented, which is a process that supports comprehension, and it lets them anticipate the form text in a particular genre will take. And that's Fountas and Pinnell, 2001. First of all, it will help the students become more comfortable with this one genre in particular through methods such as research, book talks, writing activities, blog posts, and reading. Furthermore, this unit of study will help my students hone their group collaboration skills. They will be working in small groups and will be discussing their book with their group members. Not only will they be discussing their books in person during the book talks, they will also be talking about their weekly progress on the class blog. This will give them the chance to express their ideas, concerns, progress, ask questions, and help their classmates through the use of technology. The teacher will also be responding to questions and giving tips and ideas via the blog as well. By the end of the unit, through the book talks, readings, and writing activities, the students will have formed a solid base of the fantasy genre, how to read for comprehension and insight, and how to create an excellent piece of writing. Here I have incorporated the plans for the third 6 weeks, which is the one I am focusing on. For week 1, the goal is to take a deeper look into the genre of fantasy, talk about various texts and chapter books that fall under this genre, and expand the students' knowledge of this genre and the characteristics that identify it. Some plans for the week include me going into depth on what the genre of fantasy is, but the student should already have a bit of background knowledge on the genre from the books we've read in class, plus we've talked about it a little bit already. The students will listen to a reading of the first chapter of Alice in Wonderland, which gives an excellent example of what the genre of fantasy is. They will discuss their knowledge in groups and do a writing activity on what they already know and what they are learning. They will enter what they have written into the class blog on kidblog.com and respond to 2 of their classmates' posts. After responding to the post, the students will write a reflection of their opinion of the fantasy genre. Do they like it or dislike it? Why or why not? For week 2, the goal is that the students will be divided up into groups of 3, and each group will have their own different fantasy chapter book. They will read the book individually and discuss it with their group members. They will learn how to form questions and comments about their book to be used in the book talk. This will be the beginning of the preparation for a book talk they will participate in at the end of the unit. The teacher will divide the students into groups of 3 and assign a fantasy chapter book to each group. The teacher will model how to form questions about their book to prepare for the book talk. The students will read the books within their groups during class and then brainstorm questions individually so that they can ask their group members during the practice book talk and also during the real book talk. They'll post one question they came up with on the class blog, but they will not need to respond to other posts. For the third week, the goals include each student spending the week researching the author of their book, how the author came up with the idea for the book and the origin of the book, the illustrator if that's applicable, the themes that make the book a fantasy book, etc. They will be given a guiding sheet to fill out to aid them, and I will introduce how to research on the computer via a mini lesson, including how to properly utilize reliable search engines, choose a dependable and factual source for information, and how to cite the sources they chose at the end of the paper. The plans for the week include me teaching a mini lesson over authors and how to research. This will be very important. And I will model how to get on the internet and use keywords to effectively search a topic. And for them, it'll be the author of their book. And also how to cite the sources that they found. The students will work in their group to research their author and use either the iPad mobile lab or the computer lab to do this. They will enter the information they found in the guide sheet that each of them have, and they will have questions they will have to answer and a few that they have to come up with on their own. The questions they will be creating on their own are expected to be well thought out and unique. The students will post one fact they discovered about their author on the class blog. For week 4, the goal is that the students will participate in a practice book talk in which they are divided up. I will be fostering each practice discussion. Their questions and research from the week before needs to be prepared for the practice book talk, and afterward, they will spend the rest of the week perfecting their questions and information for the real book talk the following week. So this is a practice run. The students will have all of their materials compiled, including their questions, research, cited websites, etc. I will model a book talk with each group so that they can see how it's supposed to be. In the meantime, the other groups will be reading their questions and preparing to speak during the book talk. After I have modeled it for everyone, the groups will begin their book talks. I will be walking around monitoring the conversations, so this is a time for the students to learn, to get ideas for more questions, and to perfect the way their questions are written. They will also have an opportunity to ask me questions about the book talk or anything else they are unclear on. At the end of the week, each student will post at least one question they have for the teacher to answer. It can be about anything associated with the assignments or the book talks. So this gives the students a chance to do a practice run and see if there are any unanswered questions they may have so they can get them answered for the real book talk. For week 5, the goal is that each group will participate in the real book talk with their group, in which I will be fostering them. The students will have their prepared questions and information ready to share with their group. Each student will be learning something new about their book from their other group members. This will give the students a chance to discuss the book in detail that they've been reading and researching for the last couple of weeks. The plan for the week is that this week will be the final book talk. Students will write a final copy of their questions for discussion, the information they researched on their author, and the cited sources. Each group will begin their book talks by asking each other their questions and discussing the book together. I will be a part of each book talk. While I'm doing the book talk with each group, the rest of the class will be working on an alternate assignment. I will be participating in the book talks as if I am another student. The goal for week 6 will be that they will complete a post-book talk writing activity that addresses questions such as the following. What was your favorite part about the book talk? Did you enjoy the book you read, or did you dislike it? Why or why not? Would you recommend this book to a friend? Did you learn anything new from your group members' research? What was your favorite part of researching your book? What did you learn about the author that was interesting to you? The plans for the week include they will consist of the contemplation on the book talks and reflection on what they learn. There will be a writing activity and questions that the students must answer outlined in the goals column of the table that's in my paper. After reflecting on the book talks, the students will share their answers within their groups. Finally, I will choose several people to share their answers with the whole class. I will facilitate a whole group discussion about the book talk where we will talk about the book talks and questions in more detail. The students will type their reflections and post them on the class blog, and they will respond to 2 other classmates' posts. One of the weeks I'm particularly looking forward to is week 5. That's the one I'd like to focus on. That is the week of their book talk. I'm looking forward to this part of the unit where the students will participate in the book talk they have been preparing for the past 4 weeks. So all the information they've been compiling and getting ready for and researching and the questions they've come up with, it's all working toward this one book talk. So it is exciting. Facilitating these discussions and listening to the students ask questions and discuss the information they have discovered will be refreshing. So to listen to the students kind of discuss things with each other about these books they've been reading will be fun. It'll be great to hear the students talk about things they came up with by themselves and to spur discussions purely based on their knowledge and questions. So I think this will be a fun thing. I'd also like to highlight week 6, which is post-book talk. They will be completing that writing reflection activity after the book talk is over and answering the questions I came up with. For most of my students, this will be the first book talk they have ever participated in, so I'm looking forward to hearing their feedback on the book talks as well as to respond to my students' reflections. So any questions they may still have or just comments, I'll be able to respond after they finish their reflections. 2 of the mentor texts I chose to focus on were Blizzard of the Blue Moon by Mary Pope Osborne and The Littles Take a Trip by John Peterson. I chose to highlight these 2 books because I feel they give a great snapshot of the fantasy genre. Mary Pope Osborne is very well known for her Magic Treehouse books, so I felt it necessary to include one of hers. Her books are wonderful. And the second book is an adorable book that also is a great example of the fantasy genre, with an excellent story and an exciting plot for children. So I believe both of these books were just great examples of the fantasy genre, so I feel that it would be best to highlight these 2. The big project my students will be working toward is the book talk. Throughout the third 6 weeks, my students will be working toward participating in this book talk during the 5th week of that 6 weeks. They will complete the post-book talk writing activity where they answer various questions about the book talk and their experience with it. They'll be using the class blog to complete this activity, and they will be required to respond to 2 of their classmates' posts. They will go through this unit learning via a number of instructional strategies, the use of technology, while also focusing on a handful of learning outcomes. This is what will drive their learning. The TEKS and specified learning outcomes will drive my teachings and the students' learnings as well. Here's my works cited page for the text that I cited within my rationale. I cited Fountas and Pinnell 2 different times from the same book, Teaching Genre and Content Literacy, Exploring Fiction and Nonfiction Texts. I cited those in my rationale because they are just wonderful. Thank you for listening.